if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he is, the news reports, a third-degree Gracie black belt, professor of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He was in a 7-Eleven getting some Slurpees for his kids, and there was a disruptive person in the parking lot. Several disruptive people, a male and a couple of women, were having some kind of argument. Idriz asked them to, I guess, kind of calm down. They didn't take that well. Idriz just went into the 7-Eleven. The male came into the 7-Eleven and started insulting and then finally accosting, physically attacking one of the clerks in the store. And at that point, Idriz stepped in and he videotaped what happened on his own phone, which is interesting. Now, the phone video starts with them on the ground already. So the disruptive person is prone on the ground. Idriz has him wrapped up, as we'll see. And Idriz is actually placing his phone on the ground to film himself. So he has a record of what's happening in case anybody disputes what actually happened or explanations have to be made to law enforcement. And nobody gets, I was going to say seriously hurt. It looks like nobody gets hurt at all, really, in this video. But safety is secured by the application of BJJ techniques here. And they just hung out basically until the cops showed up and secured the scene. So this is the happy video, the good outcome that I want to share. Now, the entire video is like 18 minutes long. We're not going to do that. I'm just going to play like the first minute and 40 seconds because that gives us the gist of what's happening and lets us talk about what I think are the most important points here. So let me pull that video up. And let's see, here we go. Okay, and here we go. I don't think there's any profanity in this minute and 40 seconds, folks, but, you know, these are fights, so if that's going to bother you, may not be the show for you. Here we go.
Let's go, man. Homie.
I'm putting you on camera, so if anything happens.
Hey, homie, let me just go, homie.
No, you swung at those dudes.
Who?
At the employee.
At where?
You made me move my sandals.
Come on, dog. That wasn't me, dog. Damn. That wasn't me, dog. Damn. You think that's me? That ain't me, Joe. Please, bro. That ain't me, bro. What are you doing?
You're gonna stay here till the cops come.
I get Come on.
No, man, I'm not letting you go, man. You were harassing those girls.
What?
And then you swung at the 7-Eleven employee.
What are you talking about?
What do you mean what I'm talking about?
Please, bro.
You swung at that 7-Eleven employee.
What are you, Russian?
No, I'm not.
You from Syria?
I'm Bosnian.
Come on,
No, come on, nothing,
Bosnian homies, man.
No, Bosnian nothing.
Come on, bro.
You should have calmed your ass down.
What? I ain't doing shit. I go to work, bro. Every day. Damn. Hey, am I wrong for having a drink? Am I wrong for having a drink, bro?
I'm gonna loosen up so you can.
I go to work every day, bro. I wake up at like.
Okay, so that's all the video that there is that we need to see. I mean, what I really loved about this was the absolute minimal amount of force that's being used. No one's being punched in the face. I mean, think about how often we see police using force to compel compliance in a suspect. And there's fists flying, there's injuries being caused, they're completely stressed out. You can hear their breathing, the panic in the officer's voice. Isrid here is completely calm. I mean, he's calm enough. He just can get his keys out to turn off his car alarm that happens to be going off. He's just purely conversational. He's experiencing absolutely zero stress here, whatever. He's got this guy wrapped up. I presume there's a technical name for this technique he's using, but it's completely impossible for this guy to cause him or anybody else injury here. And he's so casual about it. There's no stress. He's not overwhelmed. He's not feeling emotionally compelled to use more force than necessary. It's just an unbelievably calm approach to what could have been a much more violent encounter.
It's a great example of somebody who hangs out in this position all the time. right? Idriz trains here every day. He's always in the mount. He's always controlling people. So now he's put in a situation with a complete stranger. And like you said, he's very comfortable. He pulled his keys out of his pocket to turn off his car alarm. And he's even changing from one hand holding the arm to the other hand. He's letting go because he trusts his ability to control. And he trusts that if the man on the bottom does anything random, he'll be prepared for it.
And I notice here, he not only, now he has his hand on the elbow to keep the arm in place. Before he was grabbing the gentleman's hand behind his neck. But here he has his foot right by the elbow. I presume that's so that the guy can't just pull his arm out straight down out of there, kind of to block the path of the arm. But either he has his foot there, or when he's getting his keys, he puts his knee there. But it's completely relaxed. You know, he's not thinking through the steps like I would have to be thinking through these steps when I'm doing those drills with my white belt. It's completely intuitive to him because of the high level of his training and how many, probably thousands or tens of thousands of times he used this and similar techniques in practice.
And these are, you know, it's a very common thing that when you teach jiu-jitsu, we hear people saying, you know, teach me an arm bar or more joint locks or a choke or a wrist lock. Everybody wants to learn submissions and how to finish the fight and inflict, you know, damage and hurt the other person because it's cool to know how to break someone's arm, right? Or pop someone's shoulder. But what you realize, the more time you spend on the mat, you realize that almost all of your self-defense needs can be solved with just control.